love were the word of the day at the end of this podcast, I would say that love is freedom.
I love it. Love is freedom. Welcome to When Two Heriveaux Heal podcast.
Brought to you by not only our generational trauma,
but also by our generational strength and joy. Come take this journey with us as we choose to live our best life and heal.
Hi, welcome to When Two Heriveaux Heal podcast, brought to you by Cy the Creative and my co-host,
Haitian Rose.
Yes,
Hi.
Rose. How are you today?
I'm well, Saida. How are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling good today. Can't complain.
Good. I'm excited to be here per usual, but today I do feel a little scattered, but we're here.
Hold space for you in your scatter. We love it.
Thank you. I need that extra TLC today. I'm excited. So today is episode 4, which is so exciting already. And the topic for today is healthy love. And with healthy love, we're gonna break down boundaries, the different type of boundaries, emotional boundaries, imposter syndrome, and worthiness and self-love.
Okay.
But before we go into all of that, of course, you know we have the word of the day, and today is your pick, Saida.
Yes. If you're enjoying this episode and want to see more of the podcast, make sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Two Heriveaux Heal. That's TWOHERIVEAUXSHEAL and become part of our healing community. So today, the word of the day that I'm choosing is love.
I love that. So appropriate for healthy love.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that it's so funny that we always just fall into suit with how the topic and the word of the day goes. And let's go.
Let's go. So who goes first? I don't remember. Is it you or me?
You can go first. What's gonna be about what you think with the love, right? We break down and dissect love. So
yes, this is hard for me. I was hoping.
I know. That's why I was like, let me throw the ball at her real quick. Let me sip a coffee and get it together.
Okay, love. Love is such a loaded word because there's self-love. Wait, the Jay-Z and Beyonce, everything is love. There's love for your partner, love for self, love for life, all of that. So when it comes to love, I think love is maybe wanting the best for yourself or somebody else. It's really hard, and the reason I brought this up is because I don't know. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, because I don't really know what love is.
So, okay, we could also kind of look what ChatGPT says about love. But for me, without going, let me just use my brain and my feelings on how I feel. I feel that love to me is an expression and it's a combination of things. It's an expression and feeling all together and gesture all tied up together. So you can feel love. You can also show love. You can experience love, which is, I feel, it's just unconditional. Having no judgment, having an open space to give other people space in your heart, having a healthy heart for growth, expansion. And love is hard because I feel like it could be subjective to people. Because some people only ties it in with action. But I think it's like a combination of a whole bunch of things, action and feelings all tied in together as expression. So I don't know. That's kind of loaded.
Yeah, as you were saying that, it reminded me of the book All About Love. And in that book, she talked about how love is not a feeling, it's just an action. But I hold space for it to be both, like you said, to be a feeling of love and to feel loved, but also be an action, to show love in your action. Because she talks about how love and violence can't coexist. So we'll have parents that are like, I'm doing this because I love you, but also they
Show
have,
a form of violence.
yes. So can those
Yeah.
two things coexist kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing? And you know how people say like, have you eaten today? That's love. So love is expansive. I'll say that
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
just one thing or another. Love is really expansive.
So I totally agree with that, and that's just out of my experience. But what the Webster Dictionary says, or Oxford Language, it says love is an intense feeling of deep affection. Um, so there's just mostly just saying that it's mostly of a feeling.
Mm-hmm. How
Babies,
many?
this
How
is the sentence. Babies fill parents with feelings of love. So an intense feeling of deep affection, a great interest in pleasuring or pleasure in something. Or
how
I
many
love football.
definitions do they have?
That was the noun. And then for the verb, it's like feel deep affection for someone or
Mhm.
like or enjoy something very much.
Okay, so they have the noun and the verb. Okay, because you know how some definitions have like four meanings.
Right. No, it was just yeah. So for it's saying more of a feeling.
Yeah.
But I literally feel that it's so big that it varies. It can be a feeling and action. Like you can showing love is a big thing. Like,
Mhm.
being there for your neighbor, helping someone that needed clothes or needed, your partner,
Mhm.
showing action, bringing lunch to them is showing action. Being compassionate is showing love, not only just a feeling, but action and feeling. I think they marry each other. Um,
Absolutely. I have a question though. How do you
yeah.
feel love?
Interesting that they have the love language
Yes,
breakdown. And
yes. I
yes,
know
and
that.
I actually have more than one love language in that realm. I think there's 5 or 6 love languages, and I am a physical touch, and I'm of words of affirmation,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm also the gesture. I like
Oh,
um
acts of service?
acts of service or
Yeah,
gifts. Acts
yeah,
of service
yeah,
and gifts like mesh
yeah.
together. Yeah. So that is why I'm saying that love could be all these variable things. It is all of these things, not just a feeling. So what do you feel about love? Like what is
In
your love language, and where do your clarity comes from with love? What do you
ooh,
yeah.
okay. In like I always say that my love language is quality time.
Mm,
I'm the type of person that just loves to shoot the shit all day. Like, I just love to talk all day. So I
yeah.
need quality time, but also I'm understanding that it's also words of affirmation because I need those kind words in my life. I've experienced a lot of negative words in my life, so I need like that positivity, that warm, loving and loving kindness like towards me. So I need that, and those are my two. And you said, where do I gain clarity around love?
Yeah, like where do you feel that you experienced love?
Hmm. I guess love and support go hand in hand to me. So I feel it more in the form of support because it's funny, like the people that support me don't always show me love how I want to receive love, but they do offer me support in the way that,
Mm,
it feels good. So I find it interesting because I'm still having a tumultuous relationship with love. So
yeah.
I'm still figuring it out.
I feel like love is a place where it's always going to be a growing area
Hmm.
for you to like stretch how you're acting with love, how you show love, and how, if you've never experienced love, then it'll be hard for you to even know how to express love or to accept love as well. So I
Mm-hmm.
just think that it's how you're ready with your heart to be open and experiencing life. And with that, then you can layer out what you need to be filled in love. Like if it's action, or if it's the words of affirmation, or if it's both, if it's the quality time. Um, it's complex.
It
Yeah,
is. It's so
it is.
complex.
I feel like this word stumped me more than all the other words of
For
the day.
sure. For sure. Me too.
And I would think I would, when I was looking at our notes, I'm like, oh, love is so easy. We got this. And then when we we started recording, I'm like, oh, this is kind of deeper than I expected. Like it has a lot of layers, and I think I'm still experiencing like love in different areas, because there's love with your child, there's love for your friends, which are different, there's love for humanity, which is different. So I think love has different levels, but also different ways of showing up. But one thing that love
Mm-hmm.
is that it's not envious, it's not boastful, it doesn't
Yes.
judge.
Yes.
Love is patient, love is blind
Kind.
and
And
kind.
blind. And blind, Eve.
Yeah, kind, blind. Well, I'm kind of referencing the it's one of the scriptures in the Bible. It says love is kind, love is patient, love is, but I don't know which book of the Bible it is, but it is a reference where God does speak through the prophecy of what type of behavior love will look like. It's kind, it's not boastful, it will not judge. It's blind. So, yeah,
Okay. Yes. And I remember you saying that in a previous episode that God is love.
and God is, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is what it is, cuz God is the first expression of love. Like he loved us so much that he created us here to experience
That.
what love could be. Yeah. So, and that's why I think it's so complex, because if, if you were, if you weren't exposed to love in the beginning from your family, that can be hard to navigate into life trying to search for love. I
Mhm.
know for me, not having both my parents, I felt love obviously tremendously from my mother. But then there was a lack of love from my father not being there, that I was always in search of a type of love from a man, because my father was never present. So although I experienced love and I was um, safe with my mom's love and adorned with my mom's love, and it gave me all the things, I still felt empty because of the lack of um my father's presence.
Mhm.
So I was searching for love in all the wrong
That's
places.
what I was
So
thinking. Cause same, and that goes into our topic for today with worthiness. But I've
yeah,
definitely had that era in my life, like the first half of my life so far, looking for love in all the wrong places because of where I felt like I was lacking love.
hmm,
So to just watch that play out over time and to know where I am with it today, it's been such a journey.
where do you feel that you've come from, and then now currently? Like
So
take me
I've
to that journey.
Yeah, I've been looking for love because I have three parents. So I ended up having two fathers. So,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but I always say like having two fathers is kind of like not, it's too much, like too many chefs in the kitchen.
Oh
So
yeah.
it can get kind of
So
lost.
we're gonna explain what that means to a little bit more in depth. So two fathers meaning your parents got divorced, and then you have a stepfather.
Exactly.
So that is pretty common
Yeah,
now
it is.
to have, more than one parent. So you're
Yeah.
like, so going back to what you said, having too many chefs in the kitchen.
I was always looking for like that father figure or that older brother figure in my partner,
mm,
specifically in men. But I'm over that now. I've experienced enough of it to know that that doesn't mesh well with me in reality because I'm such a strong personality that I don't need somebody to mansplain or I don't need a teacher in a partner.
Mm,
I don't need my
mm,
partner to be a teacher. Like, yes,
mm.
we learn from each other, but the men that I've experienced, they hate learning from me or a woman. So it kind of hasn't worked out for me.
Wow.
Yeah, so where I am with it today, it's ironic because I there's less chefs in the kitchen now. It's focused on just like I have a lot of love for my father, and I'm like, wow, it's lit having a father, it feels good. So I really feel that love strongly from him, and I don't really seek it in a man, that's for sure. And I'm starting
Okay.
not to seek it from a woman either. So I'm kind of just focused on self love, and that regulates my nervous system. Like, my nervous system feels so calm today. I feel
Mm,
I'm just in a really good place.
good. Yeah. I feel calm too. It's just that I feel a lot of emotion. So I don't know if that's going to make sense. I'm calm, but I'm feeling heightened emotions.
Mm.
So that's what is making me like, oh, I'm frazzled.
Yeah.
But what you said is so important. Like, you didn't need to search for love in like a teacher from your partner, because you already had your father already there in the beginning to show love, and then your stepfather as well. But like, that is so important because there's a lot of people, and women or men that doesn't have like the father figure or even the mother figure to get that loving parent in the beginning. That loving experience from your parent first can detour and um kind of sabotage like your what you're seeking in your partner.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's like everybody has that mother wound, that father wound that they're like loving from.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's hard to combine that, like, because everybody's wounds are so specific. That's why I'm kind of stepping back from relationships because my wounds are so specific, and combining that with somebody else and like learning what their wounds are and like learning how to overcome that with them, that's just too much pressure for my plate right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just focusing on myself and my self love.
Which is like the correct thing to do.
It can, like, you would think that it would be lonely. That's why people don't do it, because fear of loneliness.
People don't do it because that as well, but you are sitting with yourself and doing the hard work. It's a hard work to isolate yourself. You're dissecting yourself. Um, that's where the work is hard. That's where people want to avoid really going really deep,
Hmm.
because you're unfolding, sitting with yourself without hiding through a partner being
Yeah,
your
no
shadow,
distractions, no
your
distractions.
distraction and your shadow.
Yeah.
So you literally have yourself, and that's where the worthiness and self-love comes more apparent, because you have you now, and you're trying to be whole within yourself before you, and that's how you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be whole within yourself, love yourself before you can love your neighbor or love a partner or your future lover to
Yeah,
be
because they say it's not your better half. It's like you both are whole and you're coming
whole.
together whole.
Right. And that was the saying that we used to hear, that someone has to come and complete you
Right,
and
right.
all these things. And it's so off the chain. It's not even
Yes.
correct at all. Like, no one can do anything but you feeling yourself first, and the amount of love and confidence that you have and worthiness you have. Then you attract or can bring a partner in to match that energy. So it's matching energy, not completing an energy.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And worthiness is a loaded topic in and of itself.
Yeah.
Talk about your journey through worthiness.
Yeah. Um So because of the father issue, it is a daddy issue, and I hate to label it, but I could say it now without being emotional and without feeling empty and shameful of having that title. Because then I had to separate whatever that influence that he had to not be in my life. I had to let that go and allow him to hold that baggage, and then for me to take on my own baggage and know that I am worthy. My mother gave me all the love and did all the things to, have me ready for life. And I just had to focus on the good things to overshadow the empty feeling of the unworthiness. It just happens because when you're lacking something and you see everybody else like going to school, have both parents, you just automatically feel left out. You automatically feel like, okay, there's something wrong with me. Even though there's a lot of people that have grown up in a single parent home and have been amazing people in the world and they turn out to be great. But it doesn't negate that you still have those feelings in the beginning that can cause you to just be down on yourself, just be heavy on yourself. So the worthiness just came from practice, like focusing on all my blessings, and that God's love for me is so important and so high valued that that is what I needed to focus on, and gave me the strength to be love, and now I can show love and then not sit in this place of um shame or lack or unworthiness. Um it's something that comes and pokes its head once in a while in certain situations, but I know that I have ammo and I'm more equipped with my tools to fight those chatters, those drafts.
Right.
Because they come up. And I think they come up to see if you healed, see if you are learning your lesson, um, to refresh you to learn your lesson. And so that is, you don't know what triggers where your lesson's gonna come. So um the worthiness, I feel worthy because I know that God has put me here for a reason, and I've had my own child now. So the love that I've given my child and how I move just shows me that love is amazing. Love, it can be all these things. And I did find the scripture. It's First Corinthians, um, the Bible scripture, and it's Corinthians 13, 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. But it is just breaking down that love is patient, love is kind. It doesn't have envy. It doesn't boast. It is not proud. It does not disown others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, and it keeps no records of wrong.
Mhm.
So keeping no records of wrong,
Yeah.
keeping no records of this, the lack of not having someone's love, I was able to eliminate that unworthy feeling and the shame and all that, because it doesn't hold place with love. Love is an elevated feeling and action altogether.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you break down with have you ever experienced unworthiness or
Thank you for healing with us. Healing in community is what we're all about. Email us at 2herivauxheal@gmail.com. That's the number 2, HERIVEAUXS@gmail.com. Send us your listener questions, healing stories, or any tools you may use on your healing journey. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah. So it's kind of in two parts. One part is worthiness and grief go hand in hand with me.
mm,
So it's like when I experienced grief, my life was really dark, and I was probably like holding on to people that I shouldn't have been holding on to just because I felt lonely. Um, but also, like growing up, I didn't have my father in my home. I had a stepfather, which is a whole different experience. So
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of not like grasping on to people that I shouldn't be grasping onto, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that really
That
plays,
makes sense.
and that plays with my worthiness. So I wasn't always solid in my singleness growing up. I haven't been solid in my singleness until now. So I think that's part of the feeling of unworthiness, is always feeling like I had to have a partner to complete me, or just to complete my story, or just to keep me company. But it's like we talk about friends, and I had friends in high school, but when it came to grief, I lost my connection with my friends because I experienced grief at like 17. So that made me experience life in a different way from my friends. So we didn't have the same relationship. So I ended up not having a lot of friends. I still don't have a lot of friends. I don't have like any friends. It's just me. So everything that I'm doing now is all in self. That's why I bring back every word to myself. So it's like when it comes to worthiness now, I'm trying to just know that I am enough, you know?
You are enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and like who I am is not something that needs to be criticized. And when people do criticize me, like don't believe them, put up that emotional boundary. So, emotional boundary is when you understand that your beliefs and somebody else's beliefs can be different. And that understanding that really saved my life because I didn't grow up knowing what a boundary was, let alone an emotional boundary. So it's like now that I know, I can't unknow. So just,
That is true.
yes. So just like
Clock that.
clock it.
Once you know something, you can't unknow it. Please and thank
And
you.
once you know better, you have to do
You got
better.
to do better.
So it's like just, I'm in my era of just insulate, not isolating, but insulating all my goodness and keeping it for myself so that I can
Mm,
actually have it.
that is so good. Insulating your
Yes,
goodness.
yes.
And, but I had to, and yourself, through isolation, then you found your boundaries so that you can insulate what your treasures and your healing new person is.
And
That's so good.
it's,
Insulating.
they say you can't heal in isolation, so I kind of have trouble with that. But this is why I love talking with you, and this is why I love talking on the podcast because it gets me out of my isolation and it lets me share. Like, this feels like a female support group. So
Yeah.
it's like I'm just sharing with my support group.
No, and this is that. Like
Yes,
literally, this platform is for support on each other, for each other and others that are, listening and tuning in. The thing is, we are ex- sharing our experiences and dissecting experiences to evolve in life and in our mental wellness. And so I had to isolate. It was through isolation and my hermit is the word that we would say now, being a hermit. I had to hermit myself I had to become a hermit so that I could, number one, know who I am. Why do I love myself? You have to like even be
yeah,
selfish to like write the things that you do love about yourself. You got to be a little cocky on writing down like what is it about me that I love? Because if you don't know what you love about yourself, how are you going to accept what other people love about you? Or
yes.
how could you stand and be confident in yourself if you don't know why you love yourself and, you know,
That is a good journal prompt.
yeah.
I'm gonna ask, why do I love myself?
And what you said about isolating, like I feel like two things can exist and be true, and I think a lot of times they do, and we always want to box something for it to be only one way, but I had to isolate myself and be in my own bubble to dissect all the things that I disliked about myself, then build myself up on what I liked about myself, and
Mhm.
then highlight all the things that I do love about myself, and then just focus on that and run with that. And then put the things that I don't like about myself in a little bag, and they could sit back there and not
Right.
have to
Oh,
be,
yes.
yeah. But the thing with isolation and being a hermit is that with life, everything needs a balance.
Mhm.
So, yeah, you need to isolate to find yourself and to disengage with the chatter of the world and people that are not there for your growth. And then at the same time, you have to balance and know that you're ready to reintegrate back into the world because you're
Yeah.
still here. We're still here and we're still present and we still have to navigate life.
Mhm.
And so that's where you have to know when to time out on isolating yourself. And like you said, you used the word of what was the word you used?
Insulate?
Insulating.
Yes.
So after the isolation, you're like, okay, I have boundaries and now I can just put this insulation just to protect what I've now built up for myself.
Yes.
So I think that's great. Yeah. And that's what I'm working on now still too. Because I've been, I had my daddy issues. I've had bad relationships. I've been divorced. So there were a lot of things that I could have held on to keep me in a bad self-sabotaging thinking.
Mhm.
But because I isolated myself and poured love back into me, I was able to stand strong on all the things that make me who I am. And then, you know, God being present in my life gave me more ammo and joy and peace to
Mhm.
continue to stand on that.
Yes. Joy and peace. Heavy on the joy and peace.
Heavy on the joy and peace, seriously. And I think all of that does fall into experiencing love. Love is
Mhm.
peaceful and love has this joy to it that brings a smile to your face. Like when you do a kind gesture and it's out of love, like it does nothing but elevate your where you feel your feeling and
Yes.
your vibration. So that's why you said something earlier that love and hate can't they can't be best friends. They're not best friends. They can't live together. Yeah. So you have to choose one or the other on how you want to.
With some of these horoscopes, though, some of these astrology signs, they do link together.
They do, they do. I know. No, but that's the point. Duality for everything though. Literally. That's
I'm
why
still
I
trying to
totally
understand that.
heavy on the yin and yang, like the dark and light and the you can't know what real love is until you've experienced hate sometimes. Like you to really understand love.
Yeah, I
Um
was gonna say that though, like with these relationships that we've been in, whether they succeeded or not, like the aftermath is like you have to reflect on that and say, okay, well, this relationship didn't work out, but what does love mean to me? Since I know what love doesn't mean to me, what does love mean to me? Like, that relationship didn't make me feel good, but what does make me feel
make me feel
good?
good. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the point. That's the era I'm in right now.
Yeah. I feel like every person, and I don't even want to make it like gender specific, but especially a woman, because society, when you're in a heterosexual relationship, you seek your man or your partner to bring that happiness to you. They're the one that's going to be your knight in shining armor and just bring this joy to you. And then you're lost in translation, not even really knowing what you want in a partner, what kind of love you want to experience, like you were saying. And being, no, just knowing yourself and being in that space of, okay, I want to experience love. I want to be loved. And this is what I tick on. Like, this is what makes me tick. This is what makes my fire go.
Right.
Then you could share that with any of your partner. And then you're full and you're whole.
Hmm.
And I think that if we grasp that when we were little versus like, oh, we got to get married and find a person to fulfill us, we would be a little bit ahead of the game.
Hmm. What do you think about in relationships when people are like, come healed? But it's like, there's no such thing as being healed. You can be
Right,
healing, but some people are so strict on that, like, come healed. I say, come therapize. That's important to me. Like, have gone to therapy. That's very important, but nobody's going to just be healed.
right,
You can be working on something that happened yesterday. You know
right,
what I'm saying?
right. And then that doesn't mean that you should hold off to not being in a relationship and not experiencing love because you're not there. I feel like you said being therapized, and not everybody needs therapy, but to being
I,
aware, well, because not everybody has I realize not everybody has, it's like certain people that have the silver spoon. Not everybody has a journey where they had certain trauma that rocks their world. Like, God bless them.
yes,
But
because
not
they say trauma is not the thing that happened, it's your reaction to the thing that
to
happened.
it. Right, right. And so some people really never probably have to really deal with like a dramatic trauma. And um that doesn't mean that you can't experience love. Like yeah.
I hear you.
Okay, so speak with worthiness and being enough, and you said grief though. Um,
Grief kind of makes you feel unworthy, at least for me, in a way. Not when I was like, this is me reflecting back on it. I didn't know this when I was experiencing it, but when I think of worthiness, it's like it brings me to a really dark time in my life. And I was trying to think, like, when did that dark time start? And it started when I was 17 and I experienced grief.
mhm. Do you mind sharing without exposing too much if you don't want, but what was the grief?
Well, my younger sister, she passed away, and it happened when I was going to college. So I went away for college, but then I decided to come home to be with my family during that time. So I kind of missed out on that college experience where you leave home and go to college, get your first apartment, all of those milestones. Like, I didn't have that. I ended up going home and I was a commuter. So it was kind of,
A different experience.
yeah, I had a non-traditional college experience, and
Mhm.
all my friends had a traditional college experience. So that, like, it kind of took me out the fold and it made me an other when I was 17.
Wow.
And I was dealing with real life stuff. So, like, I felt like I was maturing, but I wasn't hitting those milestones like my peers. Like, I
Mm.
was dealing with life and death. So it's like, I
Yeah.
was mature.
Right, right. You were being matured in another way
Yeah.
that your peers, God forbid that they have to, but and we all will experience it, unfortunately. But at that age and young, and then starting college, like that is a lot on your plate. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
for sure.
Oh my, yeah. So yeah, you were experiencing adulthood immediately, and
Absolutely.
in a different way than your peers would, and so they wouldn't understand your challenge and
No.
where certain feelings would show up for you.
And why I wasn't hitting those milestones like they were hitting.
Right. Well, because you weren't focused, and you were on other things that you had to
I was just trying to get my
with it.
150 credits so that I could graduate college, but like I didn't have plans for after college. I was just
You feel like you were coasting at that time because you had to.
absolutely,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely. I was just surviving. That's when I first got into survival mode, I think.
yeah. I've had a lot of those moments where survival of the fittest, and you're literally in survival mode. Do you feel like when you're in survival mode, it could be like a gray area where it could just be foggy? Like a lot of survival mode area for me in different milestones that I've had to have survival mode, I felt like I was just coasting. Like not, yeah, fake it to make it kind of thing. Like it could be blurry for me. Those are the blurry moments sometimes for me.
And did you notice while you were in it, or do you like think back and be like, oh, it was blurry back then?
It's thinking back
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, because while I was in it, I had I just knew my soul needed to just survive. So whatever in that moment for me to do, whatever faking to make it, like however I was able to show up was how I, showed up and
Fake,
how I put focused on.
fake it to make it is so real because even when I was in those foggy times, I didn't know it at the time, or it was just so normal to me that it wasn't like alarming. But just being in those foggy times, I would explain it away. So if people were to ask me like,
Oh,
"What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Everything is fine. Like
right,
there's
right.
nothing wrong." But thinking back on it now, like the first 30 some odd years of my life were very foggy, and I'm just now getting out of that fog. I'm just now
Mm,
starting to feel like I can plan for my year. I've never had this idea that I would like plan for a year or plan for the next 5 years, you know?
right, right,
Not that I was suicidal, but I just didn't think about being alive. Like I didn't think
right,
about time that much.
right,
So it's like now I finally feel like, oh, it's January and we're gonna be in this year until December. That's
right,
the year, you know.
right,
I'm
right.
just now starting to understand time.
No, but
But
that's so
you lose
interesting
time in
too.
grief.
You lose time and grief for sure. Um, but what you were saying, I was like that too. Like, um, not only being lost in time, but just being in a space where I just got to do this to get out of this rut, and I don't know no other way but this. And then when you're out of it, you're like, oh, how did I even make it out of here? But it was because you didn't focus on the chaos, but you're just like, all right, how do I just put one
How to
foot in
be
front of the other?
delusional.
Delusion has to be another topic because I am a delusional queen. If I didn't have my delusion, I don't. That's another thing. Remember my first thing in other episodes, I was like, my faith is what makes me, stay sane. But if I didn't have delusion of knowing that it's gonna be better someday, I wouldn't be able to be here either because I am in delusion. Yeah, Delulu girl.
Hey, so do you think delusion, well, okay, so delusion and belief to me are like the same thing. And I
Hmm.
think of belief as a coping tool.
Hmm.
So theoretically, is delusion a coping tool?
It is.
You
It
know?
really is, and it's part of the neuroscience because you literally, our girl Nikki, she says that you have to. You're not there, so you have to just mentally take yourself into that space of where you want to be and then pull yourself out of it and then get yourself there.
Yeah.
So belief and delusion, they they're hand in hand. You're right.
And once you believe, you'll start finding evidence to support your belief. And that's
Right.
psychology,
Yes.
evidence based, you know?
Yes.
So
And
yeah.
I feel like the only reason we call it delusional or delusion is because it's part of your higher thinking. It's part of like a dream state. So it's so elevated that it doesn't feel tangible for people or relatable for people. So your dreams are delusional. Like, so that is where I feel when you're in your dream state, like you're trying to go above, it plays a state with the delusion because people just don't get your dreams. You're the one that's supposed to get your dreams. So they're gonna be like, that's so bizarre. But you're in your delusion to know that this is what was set in your soul and it's possible and it is there for a reason. And it's just your delusion. Like it's
Yeah.
where what you need. You can't
Yeah.
you don't have to share your delusion. It's just for you to enjoy.
Yeah. As long as you're not hurting anybody and nobody's hurting you,
Right.
your delusions can help you sometimes.
Your delusions can help you. Hi, if you are enjoying the show so far, tune in and follow us and subscribe on our Patreon. Be a part of our social media, Uncut Conversations, and follow for some tools and journaling for exploring at this podcast when two Heriveaux heal. So, we talked about boundaries. We did a little bit of emotional boundaries. Um, I know that we had, I don't know if does that interrupt if we go into the slides?
It might. You can try, but it might. But you're talking about the list of boundaries.
Right. Did you write that down or
I
you can
didn't write
say
it down, but I can recall some of them.
some of them? Okay. Okay. Good.
So you have like physical boundaries, like spiritual boundaries, sexual boundaries.
Yes.
Those are the three I can remember.
Okay. So those are good three. So emotional, sexual, what was the
Physical,
other one?
physical,
Physical.
and like
Yes.
spiritual.
And spiritual. Ooh, I like the spiritual.
Yep.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with the spiritual.
Okay.
Okay, and then we'll go work our way. So I had to have spiritual boundaries
Mm, mm,
because growing up Adventist, growing up Christian, and then going more into a spiritual based life because of being a healer, I had to, not that I had to, but it just pivoted me to a place of spiritual work versus religion work.
right, right.
So more connecting with source and the outer elements of outside of the church. And so I feel like my spiritual boundary, it was non-negotiable for no one. Like it I don't need you to convince me of anything in my spiritual boundary because it's like a sacred place between myself, my higher self and God. So um like I'm not gonna debate do I believe in a higher power or all these things with people.
Mm,
So my boundary is that I just show my spirituality um with my action.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So with the ties in with love. Like my act of love and how I show up in love is how I could show that I have a spiritual walk.
Mm-hmm.
And so my boundary with that is that if someone's coming to debate or like just bring drama into that space, I don't even entertain it because that is non-negotiable. Like it's blocked and protected. So your opinion about it is for you. And like we said in the past, like it's none of my business about how you feel about me. And
Mm-hmm.
so with my spiritual walk, my boundary is I do not allow people to influence that walk.
Yeah.
And that's where I'll stay in my delusion and respect me on that level because I respect other people with how they move in their spiritual walk. So,
I love how you brought that together. I love how you brought that together. It
mm,
reminds me of when they say, like people don't have to understand your calling because it's literally
mm,
calling you. So that's kind of spiritual, and
it is spiritual.
that's a spiritual boundary in a way because whatever is calling you, like whatever source or God is telling you is your purpose, you don't have to explain that to other people and they don't have to understand it because it's literally God telling that to you. You're supposed to
You,
understand the vision.
right. And the vision is sacred for each person. And so like I was saying off camera before we were recording, that our journey with this podcast wasn't supposed to be shared like until it was complete and ready to go because it was sacred to us in a mission spiritually and obviously our passion and career, but like it was like non-negotiable to like have people interfere
Mhm.
with this journey. So yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, physical boundaries.
Mm.
How does that show up for you, and how do you maneuver with that?
I have a little antidote. I was
Okay.
younger, my mom would always tell me, she says, if you're in a line at a bank and somebody's touching your butt, don't just scoot up a little bit so they stop. You have to turn around and be like, stop touching my butt.
Heck yeah. Oh, that is such a good one. That is great. You know what? Physical boundary was, I feel, universal for us to practice during COVID.
Yes, give me my 6 feet.
Give me for 6 feet because I need space so that I don't get sick or
Yes.
get or spreading the germs and all that. That was a big global thing, and I was like, it was like a bad experience, experiment, I should say, to see that people really had issues with giving people physical like
Space.
dealing with people's physical boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to
And
be close to you for some reason.
right. Or they don't realize that your personal space has a limit to where you can enter.
My bubble.
And your bubble, right? And so I created a bigger bubble during COVID, and I understood physical boundaries during COVID even more. And like all of us in a global gathering had to understand physical boundaries very important because it was life or death at that point.
Yeah.
So implementing that with okay, so I know I shared in one of our episodes that I was molested when I was younger. So after that experience, me having well, after that experience, then my mother immediately created physical boundaries for me, for other people, because I was younger, and then me as a mother for my child, I created physical boundaries on how I for my daughter and how who she was going to be around, and I made sure that she wasn't going to experience the things that I experienced. And so physical boundary was a big thing for me um in that aspect too. So yeah, personal space, especially with people that I don't want to be intimate with, I want to make sure that I implement where my boundary is. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and like we break physical boundaries in our culture all the time. Being Haitian American, it is rude to walk in a room supposedly to and not greet everybody with a kiss.
Right, right.
And that is horrible with breaking physical boundaries because a lot of the time you're kissing people that you don't like or you don't know, or that are like old creepy people that kind of want to kiss you on your lips or be like experiencing real creepy slimy things.
And my thing with that, because we grew up in the same family, I grew up the same way. I was
Right.
doing that with people like in high school. So it's like I'm kissing random people in high school that don't deserve it just
Not
because I'm
knowing.
used to it.
Right. Yeah. And that is a thing that I feel like this generation, um the younger generation, they have a better implementation for
Of that
physical
boundary,
boundaries.
yes,
Right.
yes.
Right.
Now they know that they can say no. And their parents are saying, like, you don't have to kiss people that you don't want to kiss. Like, just wave or fist bump.
Or piss. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're definitely understanding those boundaries better than we did growing up.
No, and I accept that, and I commend that 100%. I love that because um I noticed that with our smaller nieces and nephews that are like 7,
Mm-hmm.
and if I had those physical boundaries, then I would have known certain touches and certain,
Yeah.
was not okay.
Because it trickles
And
outside of your family.
right. And even within your family, you're just like certain things, you'll just know physical boundaries for yourself.
Yes. You'll have practiced it. If you had practiced physical boundaries since you were 7, you'd be a pro at it when you're 25.
Right, right. And so the younger kids now are, I think, ahead of the game with being able to implement their physical boundary.
Yeah.
So physical obviously will run into sexual.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what are your sexual boundaries
So,
that you've implemented?
learning about consent. That is
Yes.
something we didn't have growing up. Like we came from the era where no meant maybe, or no meant convince me, or no meant, oh, I'm just being a good girl. I'm saying no, but I really want to I want
I'm
to do
feeling no, no,
yes.
no.
Yeah, no, like I'm saying no, but I'm gonna do yes.
Yes,
We're
right.
just saying no just to keep up appearances. So we had those mixed signals. So your no wasn't always respected by
Mm-hmm.
you or the other person. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like learning about consent, that really, you really have to ask and have an enthusiastic yes.
Yes, yeah,
Anything outside of that is not consensual.
right. That is so funny because um being part of the Sweet Spot, and that was like 2016 when I was kittening with them, and they're doing their 20th anniversary show this weekend. That's where we're gonna see 'em.
Shout out.
But they were having a group text on WhatsApp and not exposing people, but they were just like, what are the, words that you would say for to remember Sweet Spot? And this would be one of the things I've heard was consent. The show is a highly driven sexual erotic show, and that was the first time that I felt, even though I was open sexually, I felt more liberated and empowered because now I had physical boundary, sexual boundary, and certain terminology and words like consent
Mhm.
for yes, for pleasure, or, and that was the first platform that I heard say an enthusiastic yes about wanting someone to touch you or hold your hands or to engage in sex and all these things. So it empowers you, I feel,
Yes.
as a woman, as a person, to um have sexual boundaries and your partner respecting it. And I think it's alluring and sexy to be like the person that you want to have sex with, you're asking for the consent and they oblige and say yes. I find that to be, more inviting and like just
Yes.
a beautiful thing.
Consent is sexy. Like
Yeah,
it's having
thank you. I'm like, today is hard for me to talk. But yes, yes. Consent is sexy. It's empowering for the person asking for consent and empowering for the person giving the okay.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
actually empowering. That's a good word.
Yeah. For both.
Yep.
Because the person that is asking for your consent, they respect you so much and want to walk into that, the sexual journey with you being present and and excited about exploring your bodies together. And if it
Yes.
was open and just, you know, easy to talk about like that, we wouldn't be so taboo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because anything outside of that enthusiastic yes is coercion.
Right.
Like
Period. And please, I have been a victim of saying no, and the no was yes,
hmm
forcefully, and me even saying no and not being hard no
hmm
either,
Right,
because
right.
you have to stand on your no and not be shaky, and have to have confident on no, I can say no. It doesn't make me a bad person. It's just that I'm not ready or willing to be in this environment or space or situation.
And like
So
a lot of people expect sex, but that's the same thing. A lot of people expect hugs and kisses. So expecting sex is like it's that same ignoring that um physical boundary.
right, yeah, yeah, which is I think so important, and it wouldn't be so taboo for us to navigate if we talked about it and um was just more open about it. Yeah, I feel like boundaries can sound very
The
off-putting and
wall.
negative. Yeah, like a
Yeah.
wall.
But it's really a door. It's like, okay, obviously you can't touch me, like, but when we talk about it, you can kiss me or you can
Yeah,
kiss. Like, it's a door that you open to see what type of pleasure you even want, you know?
right. Yeah, that is so true. And I'm glad that we kind of broke that down a little bit. So, boundary can sound negative and off putting, but it literally is an invitation, and it's a form of knowing yourself, healthy love, that you
Yes.
can um, invite somebody in and be like, here are my standards. I have standards. Here are my boundaries.
Yeah.
And that's how you become closer to your partner, because you don't know what I've gone through to have to create a boundary.
Yes.
And you probably haven't had to go through that. So you wouldn't understand why I need to create a boundary. But because I'm exploring with you and explaining to you why I need these boundaries, and then you understanding it and care for me, you're going to just be respectful and handle me accordingly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's getting to know your partner, because people have a lot of sex with people that they don't know that well. That's just kind of normal in our society.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't have had that conversation. People don't do trauma informed sex. Now that the conversation is getting really juicy, do you want even more? Head over to our Patreon for the unfiltered conversation. Sign up at When Two Heriveaux Heal for the rest of the episode, plus bonus content. We'll see you on Patreon, Zeaux Tribe.